the blind illusion to reality and never have a moment of forgetfulness. You know, we all have those. And this is basically what this is. This is through repetition. Through repetition, you start to acquire a greater and greater level of awareness from a higher perspective.
And ability to stay centered.
Well, through that,
Because
the
of
ability
that,
of staying centered, you stay centered by recognizing the true reality of the moment. If you forget the true reality of the moment, you're sucked right back in again.
Over and over.
Over and over and over again. Yeah. And recognize this. It's not just this lifetime. You've been doing this for a lot of lifetimes. And I would say that if you're sitting in this room, you have been many, many, many lifetimes and have come to a point, a crossroads, where you are now ready to make that transition. If you weren't ready to make the transition, you'd be running like hell. You'd be out of here, which a lot of people are.
You probably.
Why do you think, though, I mean, to me it seems a little torturous. Why is there a veil that you don't remember?
Well, imagine for a moment that there really was never a veil.
Oh,
You wouldn't have any experience whatsoever. In terms of
I'd still have
In
experience.
terms of the journey, you wouldn't have the experience of being able to overcome. You can't overcome something that
Isn't there.
isn't there.
Right.
If the illusion didn't exist,
Oh, then you would have nowhere to go through the
Well, I guess
knowledge
I mean,
you're searching for.
you wouldn't have
But if I-
that within yourself. You wouldn't even be able to discover self. Which is why this world, the Course in Miracles says every single person on the face of the planet is your savior. Including the one who comes out and puts the gun to your head or slaps you in the face. That one is your savior. Because they're giving you an opportunity to interact.
Learn something.
Or react. Interact or react. In other words, they're giving you an experience.
Because in the end, it's not about you and them.
It's not about you and them, it's about you and God. This is why, let me see, was it Rumi who said, somebody said, in the end you're going to learn to bless the darkness as much as you bless the light. Someday you will bless that veil as much as you bless not having it. You know, when you get to that
I realize you need the
state.
veil for the illusion.
I'm sorry?
I realize you need the veil for the illusion.
Right.
I guess my point is, to me, I've learned a lot in this lifetime. I found you, I found my friend Alan, my friend Brucey, Yolanda. I've met some very, very spiritual people who have helped me tremendously grow.
Okay.
I don't want to start over next lifetime. I want to at least be where I'm at right now.
Well,
You
remember,
might not be
remember
that
this.
in the next one. You might be a bumblebee or a butterfly.
Here's the now.
Well,
Here you are.
Mhm.
Now you say you don't want to be someplace?
I don't want to start back over.
Then don't. Then don't.
instead of
If you are awake,
Doug,
if you're
where you
awake,
going?
you don't have to start over.
You said that.
Right,
Hi.
Mike? Good evening.
Good evening. Am I sitting too close here?
No, 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 no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I guess I'm in your way of your chair.
Okay, if you're asleep, you're having a dream,
Now, is that
right?
at the point of death that you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about right now.
Right now.
I'm talking
Right
about now. Now, right here, right now. Now always is, right?
Right.
Okay. If you're awake here in the now,
Right.
Jesus said, to become awake means what Christ was saying.
Overcome judgment. Overcome this world.
Overcome this world. Jesus said, anyone who overcomes this world will not be hurt by the second death. The second death was the one you just referred to, you said, when you
Right,
die.
right.
There's the second death.
Right.
If you overcome, how did you overcome this world?
But we all have awake and asleep moments within our day.
We're not talking about moments. I'm not talking about
lifetimes.
moments. I'm talking about now. I'm talking about now. Because now always is.
Mhm.
You said you don't want to go repeat it. Then don't.
And
Don't go back to sleep.
That comes with staying centered and not judging and carrying on
Okay.
the things that you know, but accomplishing them in an entire day seems to be unattainable for me.
Remember the dimensions.
Yeah.
We got dimensions of time and space. Okay? These dimensions of time and space, are they real?
No, they're part of an illusion.
They're part of the dream. They're part of the dream, the dimensions. So the idea is, if you are asleep, you're going to experience somewhere within the dimension. You're going to experience yourself somewhere. Right? You can grow, you can get bigger or better, or you could
Wiser.
you become wiser, or you could forget and be worse, or whatever. The degrees of good and bad exist within the dream.
But you know, the getting from asleep to awake is an evolutionary process. That doesn't happen like
No.
No, but when
and it
you
doesn't stick once you're there.
but when you choose to remain awake,
Oh,
Okay.
see that right?
when you choose to remain awake, it will stick.
It will stick,
If you choose.
and you're
Now,
going to go bumping
you-
your nose.
You may forget. You may
Yeah.
forget to keep choosing that. You may go back to sleep, right?
Right.
All right. If you forget and you go back to sleep, oh, I forgot. Now I'm awake again. Paul said I die on a daily basis. Okay. So you wake up, you go to sleep. Wake up, go to sleep. Wake up,
Yeah.
And this pattern will continue as long as you accept that that's the pattern for you. Right? We all have patterns.
I don't think, but I think a lot of people who have got the sense in their head that they want to advance in their spirituality, they are intending that, but it's not an immediate process.
No, not that, but the stickers.
And you have to advance at some level so that you're smart enough to ask another question.
Doug, what about this? Would you agree
On a journey or a ride? Okay, yeah.
we're either on a journey or we've arrived? See, we have to be something, right? We're all being something. To be or not to be. That's how I
Can you
put
describe, define arrive?
arrived would be
You'd be,
you are beyond seeking.
okay,
You
fine.
are beyond seeking, and you are consciously cognizant of this moment
Yeah, right.
and recognizing your oneness with this moment beyond the need to be something else. Okay, how's that?
That, you know, that you do a nice job on that. Yeah,
I know
okay.
he does.
But it's, yeah, but it's you're a one-on-one buddy with Jesus at the time.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Come in, it's okay.
Please.
You got your
Oh,
camera?
that's okay. That's okay. Go
Get
ahead.
me right in your film.
Yeah, then you come back and sit down and join the lecture.
So you'd be one with Jesus. You'd be one with Buddha. You'd be one with any
Oh yeah,
master.
Jesus and Buddha would go, where did I see that on television? Oh my goodness. But yeah,
Right.
it was, maybe it was on PBS where that came up. Highlighted Buddha as one of the states of awareness like Jesus, yeah. Yeah.
I
You know,
know what
okay.
I wanted to, well, okay, I'm gonna catch up. I brought this, I wanted to give to everybody, I really wanted to give it to Gary, but he's not here.
He's not here. Told him,
I
yeah,
know.
he just went back to Ohio.
Oh, he did?
Oh, he did?
Yeah. That's why he's not. He was here Saturday, and he told me he was going to Ohio.
For just a,
Oh crap.
I don't know for how long, but yeah,
they're back and forth all the
yeah,
time.
back and forth.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was thinking of Gary when I formulated it out, because he's asked this question. Oh, I had 3. Sorry.
Chance like breathing. Yeah,
I
great.
thought this was really cool with helping to explain judging people.
What's that? A student recently wrote to me, I want to stop judging people, but I can't, it's like breathing. It's part of who I am and what I do. I have an easier time holding my breath. What can I do? Yeah.
The great sage, known as whoever he is, said something beautiful that speaks to this. But it's not poetry or philosophy or a metaphor or a nice way to live your life. It's the reality I'm about to share to you. Here it is. Whatever annoying behavior you see in someone else is inside of you. That person is a mirror showing you what you've got to correct in your life. Somewhere within your consciousness, either on the surface, mid-level, or deep within, you have the exact same trait that you are judging. Now we've heard this all before. People are mirrors. We get it, whatever his name is. But the person goes on a step further. He says, not only do you have to accept responsibility that what you see is inside of you, but you must know with certainty that the person will never change until you do too. That's a mind bender. You're responsible for every person you see in your life, yes. And once you accept that charge, redirecting judgment onto your own behavior and making the change within you, you'll see the change reflected in them. There's one more part. I can say to you that the people in your life are also responsible for what happens inside of you, but I can't. And I can't say it about me. You get it? If we did, then we'd use it as an excuse to take less than 100% responsibility. Spirituality is technology. It's the way the universe is hardwired. God, in His infinite wisdom, which is nothing but a giant computer calculation, arranges everything chromatically speaking, so that the people we need to confront will be in our lives.
This is exactly what the Course in Miracles is saying when it says everyone is your savior. That's the exact point that's trying to bring to light. In the now moment. And that's vitally important for us to always remember that in the now moment, what we see as linear time, is not true in terms of ultimate reality. It's true in terms of that which we are experiencing relative to where we happen to be and how we're viewing things. Okay? Right? Okay.
I'm getting the sense that appreciating the now moment or understanding it doesn't occur until you're in a meditative state. So you don't have distraction.
I always pictured the Chinese being best at this. You see the gardener gardening.
Right.
And he's in the moment. His perfection is to do that job perfect.
Okay.
And the guy's been there for 8 hours raking weeds, and he's in its rhythmic pattern, and he doesn't know that there's a big bull standing right there. Doesn't care, doesn't notice. But he's in that now moment with himself.
And his ego doesn't say, I should be a lawyer or a doctor.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah.
It's doing the best that you can with what you are doing. I think that's part of being in the now. Would you agree?
I would say that definitely would be part of the now moment. Being right where you are, right here. Here we are. Where should we be? We best say we should be right here. Okay? My ego would definitely, and I've done this numerous times, my ego would say I should be whatever. I should be here. I should be doing this.
Right.
I should be doing that. Rather than I should be right here. I should be right here because here I am. The moment I try to look at this moment and project my opinion, I'm lost.
Yeah,
I'm no longer here.
Yeah, you're not there anymore.
I'm no longer here. I've lost this now moment.
See, that's why I'm saying it makes sense where you could do that in a meditative moment.
Yes.
And when you're through with the meditative moment, you get up And depending on what it is that you talked about and thought about during that meditative time, you really do walk off with a different energy than when you sat down.
Right, and that then gave you a moment of clarity. Of Course in Miracles would say a miracle. Okay, now here's the secret. Ready for the big secret? Not the secret that they talk about. The big secret. Because now always is. If you wish to stay in tune and outside of illusion, okay, you want to stay in tune outside of illusion? If that's our objective,
Yeah.
here's the big secret. Stay. Don't go anywhere. Become,
You mean stay home? Or,
No.
Stay in your bedroom where you just meditated, or?
no,
Stay in the presence of what you're doing, whether it's
Stay in your presence.
of what you're doing. So if you are at
become your
work,
meditation.
Yeah.
if you are,
Become the meditation.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
leave the meditation, then go back into the world. Take the meditation with you as you interact with the world.
Yeah.
so
Okay.
if you were picking up cucumbers at the grocery store,
Yes.
you'd be 100% focused on picking out cucumbers at the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, you become 100% focused on picking out cucumbers at the grocery store. Oh, and here's Doug. Hi, Doug. How are you? And I'm in this moment.
Yeah, no, I was just
Okay.
thinking, and a stranger shows up, and you look at him and smile,
Yeah.
and say something very pleasant. And that would
Nothing
be,
wrong with
huh?
that. And nothing wrong with that.
No.
No. That would be your, what other reaction could you have to another standing
But-
near you, other than something very
But
positive? or
most
up-
people, while they're picking out that cucumber,
They're thinking about their monthly
The
bill.
laundry and
They're
all.
thinking about the laundry. They're thinking about their child who just got something, whatever.
and they see that stranger come up and they're judging them on their appearance or,
So our mind, our
But
ego.
what you just said there says that you haven't taken your meditative state
No.
with you.
Right.
No, you're
You're not
frosted.
carrying that point of love. You're not being that to another.
You're not interacting with the
You're
world.
not interacting at that level of awareness and consciousness. And without even thinking about it, you will think that way. From
Oh,
the
we've
point
been
of view of
conditioned.
love. Huh? It won't be an issue. You're not gonna, judging someone, that's moot. Yeah.
Love always is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
God always is. Why don't we experience love and why don't we experience God in every moment? We would if we're in our meditation.
And you would if you're attentive.
And if you're, exactly.
Intentive. And you take that intention with you during the day, and you'd be surprised. Intent is a very powerful energy.
Intent is everything.
Yeah.
Intent, state your intention
Yeah.
and don't ever leave it. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be something that you state your intention, no, I'm never going to, and you don't ever have a moment. Restate your intention.
Yeah.
Because if you step out of the now, you
Yeah.
can step right back into the now,
Yeah.
right? And how often do you find that the more you practice it, the easier it is to stay there for greater increments of time? You know, first time,
But when you hit your thumb with the hammer, you may slip out and offer up a few well-chosen expletives.
yeah, but at
And,
the same,
but it does go away. Yeah.
So all that being
Yeah.
said, maybe we'll jump back into the book because someday maybe we'll finish this year.
Yeah.
You know,
we're in no rush.
but no, we're not really in a rush. I know we're not. No. We left off last week on page 39, and this is
37, 39. Okay, yeah.
this is kind of what we're talking about. Very interesting how all of this always works out. But for God did not give us a spirit of, I'm going to try this one, timidity.
Okay.
Okay, we're timidity,
Right.
Yeah.
but a spirit of power and love in self-control. And isn't this what we're talking about here? We're talking about the difference between the human, which says, I can't stay, and with the spirit, which has self-control, to stay right here, where now always is. Spirit can do this, human can't. Right? But God, it says God didn't give us this conscious state. God gave us this conscious state.
Yeah.
All right? That's what this is all about. That's why this is here.
So timidity is moot. Yeah.
Timidity is moot when you recognize the spirit within. You see that you're empowered. You are empowered as a spirit. You're not if you go into your human mind and say, I can't. Well, of course you can if you say you can. That's it.
Yeah, it's not a spirit that's gonna. I'm going to gain something from that other person. It's none of that kind of baloney.
No. There's nothing to gain. The only thing that you gain is self. By
you can give
in that moment.
But you give.
Yeah. As you read further, you'll find that not only do you have the power to influence your experiences, which we do.
The power to do what? To influence?
You have the power to influence your experiences. And influencing your experiences is exactly what we're talking about when you're interacting rather than reacting. If you're reacting, you're influencing your experiences one way. If you're interacting, you're influencing the experiences another way. Okay? In every given moment, the universe is going to supply you with an opportunity to experience spirit, or your human mind, or fear, or love. Every moment.
Okay.
Every moment.
Excuse me.
But you are also responsible for exercising control over your own mind. Isn't this exactly what we're talking about? Yeah. In every moment, we have a human mind. That video that you sent to me, talking about the two sides of the brain, and one the left side is thinking in terms of linear, and the right side is thinking in terms of the, I'm going to say metaphysical, or the abstract, or the now, that which transcends linear time. So in this moment, when I'm looking at this world, I have a choice. Do I judge it relative to all of the data that I've put back here? Or do I give it over to spirit and say, I really don't have a judgment about this moment. I don't know what this really is about. But I'm going to participate in the moment. I'm going to be in the moment without forming a judgment. Now, from a human perspective, my ego mind says, but I can't do that. I got to know what this moment means, or I won't know what to do. Okay? Similar to that woman who was coming here for a short time, and I think she stopped coming because she didn't get the answer she was looking for. When she had this big question, someone's going to kill someone, what am I supposed to do?
Oh yeah, I remember her.
Remember her? Mm-hmm. Well, I look and I say, well, if you're in this moment, you're not going to know whether, or someone else can't give you that answer. I can't tell Mickey what to do if he crosses the street and he meets a guy on the other side of the road or whatever. I can't tell you what to do in that moment. But rest assured, Spirit will give you the exact information and the exact knowledge that's necessary for you to interact if you call for it. You will be orchestrating an exact moment of perfection if you give it to Spirit. If you try to analyze this moment, go into your judgmental mind, draw all that information to the front, and think you know, inevitably you're going to be wrong. You think you're right. You could get 100 people to agree with you, but you're all going to be wrong.
You just set yourself up for a reaction.
There you go. Exactly. You're going to react or interact. And these are two states that we have to play with.
You want ice cream?
I want.
To begin to understand the choices available to you, it would be helpful to remember love and fear cannot coexist. Okay? They can't coexist. Do we agree with that or disagree? In other words,
I agree.
we agree. We all agree? What do you think, Yobo? Love and fear, they can't coexist. Right? You agree? Okay. So we don't have to get into that. But that's true. Every moment we have a choice to see it as a human or to see it as spirit. That's it. And there is no in between. You know, we think there's in between. There's no in between. There's either human or spirit. One is going to be based on our knowledge as human. One is going to be based upon a spiritual knowledge, which is coming from God, not from us. If you are experiencing one, you cannot experience the other. In his quest to teach that there is much more to life than man had perceived, Jesus said, "You have heard it said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy." Now this is the Old Testament now, right? This is the Old Testament. The Old Testament said, look, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. So it was in direct contradiction. The Old Testament was saying one thing, the New Testament was saying something else. And this is where the distinction comes between the Old and the New. The Old was definitely based upon the ego mind, and it was based upon the human interaction or reaction, if you will. And that's where the law comes into play. All of the law is laid down. Because obviously in this world, if you're going to be playing on a human level, you need laws. Look around. I mean, you know, this world is chaotic and crazy. And if people are of the mindset of looking at things from a human perspective, they're going to be hurting one another, killing each other, stealing from one another, doing whatever. I mean, we're living in a world that you really don't want to live in as a human. You know. But now, take that to the spiritual side, and if in fact you practice this, here's what Christ is trying to teach us. Unconditional love. If someone does you harm, you offer them love. Wait a minute. Someone slaps my face, I'm supposed to turn the other cheek and offer them? No, that doesn't make sense. But the idea is, if you offer love, in the now, what are you experiencing? Love. That's all you can experience. It doesn't matter what they're experiencing. It doesn't matter where they're coming from. What does it matter? It matters what you are experiencing. And if you experience it in the now, what are you sharing with the world? Love. You see, this is how, by withdrawing from reacting to the world as a human, you are becoming the savior to the world. You're showing them the way. You cannot give without receiving. You cannot receive without giving. You see how those are always interconnected. It's impossible for you to, someone pisses you off and you strike back, you're feeling that.
You're feeling anger.
You're feeling all of these emotions.
Pain.
Yeah. You can't get away from those emotions.
Right.
So what are you giving to yourself? You're giving yourself a miserable moment.
Yeah.
Let it go. You're giving yourself peace. So no one can give you peace in this world. I remember my ex-wife saying to me a long time ago, right after we first got married, and it scared the hell out of me. She said, "I always knew that you could make me happy." Oh my God. Don't lay that on me. You know, I gotta make you happy. No, I can't. No one can make someone else happy.
Right.
No. If she said to me, "I'm so happy with you," you know, that's a different picture. You know, but I gotta make you happy. I can't take on that responsibility. I can't make you happy. No one can make someone else happy.
Well, part of our problem as humans, we definitely have bad communication.
20-something?
No. I was 32.
When she said that?
Yeah.
We have bad communication skills.
Oh, no question about it. We do, partly because of our educational system. We're not, first of all, this should be taught. What we're looking at here, there's no question. This should be taught to all of mankind. I know this is one of the reasons why it's here.
That's why I say, in my next life, assuming that there's gonna be an Earth and I'm gonna come back, and possibility of male, female, but possibility in the United States, possibility in China, wherever. I wanna know that so that I teach my child that from the get-go, not learn it when my child's 20.
Well, then make it so. You see, there is nothing in creation that can control you. Nothing. Nothing and no one.
Can't do anything about it.
Don't you realize that your moments are in your hands? You're in charge. You're in charge of you. That's the only one you're in charge of. So when you say, here's what I want, make it so. Right though? Just make it. Choose it. Choose it as your reality, and it is your reality. Oh, I can't do that.
Well, I can't, because like I would love to go to Delphi University and take classes. Well, Mick would have a conniption fit.
There you go.
No,
See?
we're talking about different things here now. Now I'm not talking about arranging and changing the circumstances that exist in this world. I'm talking about setting the stage for how I am interacting with this world. Okay? And setting the mode or the vibration that I'm holding. That is the only thing that you have charge of. You're not in charge of the details of the world. No. Just like that woman in that little clip that I just watched. And when she was experiencing something, and then she said she was coming back into the world, and then she realized that she was not writing the script. You're in charge of setting the vibration. You're not in charge of the details. The details, when we start talking details, this is all the ego. This is the ego mind thinking, I'm going to handle the details. And I got to say that I'm somewhat guilty of this myself many times, trying to orchestrate and manipulate and move things relative to a picture that I'm holding. Yep. I look at this, I look at what we're doing here, and I say, what I'm sharing with you is helping me immensely. This is giving me the clarity to live this. I know this is all absolute truth. There is nothing that I would say that this doesn't cover. This is everything that we need to live consciously is here. But to implement that into the day-to-day requires us to move outside of our limited views and let go of erroneous beliefs. As I share with you, I'm really sharing with me, because ultimately there's only one of us anyway. And so I get a lot out of going over this. The only reason why I can go on and talk about this is because for 12 years this is all my head's been into. You know, this is it. This is everything I live for, is to talk about this and exchange this and to implement the change within me. But anyway,
400?
Well, you know, what you just read there about love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. You know, George Bush always likes to put out that he's this Christian and a lot of his cronies are Christian, but they missed that message, because we wouldn't be in Iraq right now if that was
well, obviously
he took to heart.
Obviously, our political and spiritual teachers are not necessarily living in the enlightened state. That's a given. I mean, you look around the world, it's quite obvious that we're not in a world of enlightened beings. Okay, that being said, is that really relevant to you living in an enlightened state? It's not.
No.
It really isn't.
No.
And anyone who looks at this and uses this as an excuse not to live in your enlightened state is listening to their ego and copping out. Just copping out of what you came into this world to do. Now, I'm not telling anybody if you choose to cop out, you can't do that. You know, that's your choice. Live it. Because I will not sacrifice my state of being for anyone in the world. And I've shared, I just told my son this again yesterday. I told him, I said, you know, I love you, and I love you to death. And there was a time I would have died for him. I said, but I love your spirit more than I love the personality I'm looking at. I'm not going to sacrifice my being for your ego. You want me to do certain things. You want me to live a certain way. You want me to be a certain form for you. I'm not going to do it. Doesn't mean I don't love you. I love the spirit more. And I'm here to deliver that message. And that's not just me. This is for all of us. You know, if you want to wake up, it's in your hands. You don't want to wake up, that's in your hands too. We're all responsible for ourselves. The greatest gift that you can give anyone in this world is to wake up and grow and live this level of consciousness that Christ was talking about. Right here.
Say that again. That was right there. I guess I was out.
Okay, you've had it. This is Christ talking about the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament when he says you've heard it said that you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy, which was in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
But I say to you that you should love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. So he's basically training them to become non-judgmental and loving unconditionally. That's exactly what he was trying to say here.
You think he was at the time? Yeah, that's a classic statement for what he was at the time. He was to be there as a model in what consciousness shift will eventually be. Just to be a model of that. And set the...
Absolutely.
It set the energy.
Yeah. Yeah, he had to actually come here and demonstrate. Good evening. Yeah, it's like, you know, let's say the Wright brothers invented a plane and say, all right, Doug, go fly that thing. You look at that and go, I don't know the first thing about it. I'm not getting in that contraption, right?
Yeah.
But now they get in it and they say, hey, here's what you do. You pull a stick back and you're going to climb. Push your stick forward, you're going to go down. You know? Oh, okay. So they demonstrate what it means and how it works. Well, Christ, that's exactly how Christ was a savior. He came in to say, look, I'm going to demonstrate what it means to be stuck in a body, have an ego-thinking mind, and overcome it. Here's how you do it. That's what he came here to do. Did a beautiful job. Except they formed a religion and they missed it. You know, oh, Jesus died for you, you're saved, you're saved, you're saved. No, it doesn't work like that. No, it doesn't work like Jesus said. It's like this. I fly the plane, I say, Doug, here's how you fly the plane. Now, we're going to go from here to Connecticut. Now, you got to get in the plane and you got to fly. Well, if you don't get in the plane and fly, you're stuck here. I'm in Connecticut. You know, the same thing. If people think that they're going to wind up where Christ is, well, you best follow the example. If you don't follow the example, you're not going anywhere. You don't want to come back here? Don't come back here. Wake up. It's simple. It's not simple. It's simple in understanding how it works, and it's the most difficult thing anyone is ever going to implement in this world. It was never really meant to be so easy that everyone wakes up tomorrow and they're all done. This is a very, very difficult place to break free of.
Process.
This is a hard place to break out of.
Yeah.
It's like trying to get out of San Quentin with a teaspoon.
Yeah.
Lance, I never want to come back. I don't hate it here.
Well, you don't have to come back
But I
if you
want to
don't.
come back and...
You want to come back enlightened.
Enlightened.
Okay, well then come back enlightened. When you come to know yourselves as unconditional love, you will recognize your brother as yourself. Well, it's a simple one, right? Okay.
That's a hard one.
No, I mean, it's simple for us to understand. It's hard for us to carry off on a day-to-day. But you know, I think we all understand what it means, right?
Right.
Anytime you want to talk about something, just tell me to take a breath. Jesus was the living example of unconditional divine love. It did not matter to him how much money people had, where they lived, what color their skin was, or what they believed. Jesus recognized everyone as soul not as a personality. And in Matthew 22:16, and they sent the disciples to him along with Herodians, saying, Teacher. Herodians?
Herodians.
Sorry, Herodians, there we go. All right. Anyway,
Yeah.
with the Herodians, Teacher, we know that you are true and teach the way of God truthfully. Okay, so they're talking to Jesus saying, we know that what you're telling us is true. And care for no man. For you do not regard the position of men. So basically what they're saying is this. Jesus was in the world. He's looking at everyone. They're all spirit in his eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone is a spirit. Everyone is coming here. Now, he also recognized, as it's quite obvious to any of us, that there's every degree or level of awareness of that spirit within people.
It's okay.
Right? Some people know, some people don't know. That doesn't change the fact that regardless as to what they believe, regardless what they accept for themselves, they are spirit. Can't change it. Right? Now, if I'm going to walk in this world and walk in a conscious state, every single person has to be recognized by me as being the same, being equal. This is why I've said this many times, and I know it's the hardest thing for us to recognize as parents. When Christ said, you really want to be my disciple, you must forsake your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, and your children to be my disciple. It doesn't mean you run away. It's no different than when you're picking out a cucumber at the market and, oh, here's Doug. I say, hello to Doug. I interact in this moment. Well, you go home, you got a family at home, you interact with your family. But you interact with your family and you honor the spirit before the personality. And when you do that, you recognize that the person in that other room and your child are exactly from the same cloth. That's forsaking the relationship. It means to take everybody in the world and bring them into that family. And now, all of a sudden, we can't go and drop a bomb on another country. Oh my God. You can't do it.
Right.
You can't put a gun in your hand and go become a hero for your country. You can't do it. Can't be done. I remember, like I say, when I was a kid and they were just about ready to do away with the draft, and I thought, well, I might get drafted. Vietnam was finishing. I graduated high school in 1972, and it was still going on, and I thought, if they call me, am I going to go? I said, no way. No way. I put me in jail. I wasn't going to run to Canada.
Yeah, you're right.
But I was not going to put a gun in my hand and kill or be killed. I'm not going to do that. What kind of nonsense is this? Go kill somebody over there. You know what? If it came down to it, and they said to me, put a gun in your hand or we'll kill you, take me now. I don't even want to live in a world if we have to put a gun in our hand and go kill someone. Take me out. I don't want to be here. If I can't live and be conscious and awake, I don't even want to be here. I really don't. Take me now. And that's how I felt back then. They never got, my number was 346, so I didn't have to go. It's like, okay. Yeah, that's when they started with the lotto and they picked the birthday and the number of the year. I started with 1 and mine was 346, so they weren't going to get to me. But I already made the decision. I was going to jail. I said, no, I'm not going to play. I'm not playing your game. Jesus was the living example of unconditional divine love. It did not matter to him, blah, 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 blah. What's going to personality? And so in Matthew 5:46, for if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Do not the tax collectors do the same? And here he's talking about the relationships. Many of us, of course, we love our children. Of course, look at how precious. Aren't they sweet? And they're ours, isn't it? And mine's so much better than this one. And they're so well behaved. And Of course we love our kids. and well, most anyway, and we, except for that one. No, and most of us love, to some degree, our parents. But the idea is, yes, our immediate family can be the major obstacle to us living spiritually awakened. That's the first commandment. The first commandment, thou shalt have no gods before me. The moment you elevate one thing and give it a higher stature than everything else, you've broken that commandment. Not only do you break that commandment, but you lose yourself. You lose your spiritual awareness. You can't have that oneness when you've isolated and made this separation and this distinction.
Listen, I was brought up being Catholic. Thou shalt not have other gods before me meant
No Buddhism, no this, no that. I know. I was brought up Catholic too.
or don't want your material things more than me. Either one.
Right.
It had nothing to do with don't put myself above Doug or something like that.
Well, this is the problem with Christianity, as I understand Christianity, is they take a spiritual truth and they teach an element and an aspect, but they don't teach the fullness. So, because of that, people have a tendency to recognize that, wait a minute, there's something wrong.
Right.
They don't know what's wrong. There's something wrong. And this is one of the reasons why I got something off the internet today, not today, the other day, and they were talking about how many people are leaving Catholicism. And I think it was something like 80% of the kids that were born from 1981 don't attend Mass at all. They're just not.
Yeah, 2 grandchildren are brought up Catholic, and
No,
going to Mass is not an issue.
no. Nor should they. Actually, I'll tell you the truth. They're better off.
Not going.
As I say, they're better off not going, because what happens is you get, once you embrace a doctrine and a belief system as your belief, and now what we're all struggling with is overcoming those beliefs.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the belief to begin with, if someone came in here, that's why I've made this statement many times, if I had somebody self-proclaimed atheist who didn't really have any belief in anything, I could sit down with that individual and we could have a pretty good conversation.
Oh, that's, yeah.
And probably open their eyes to something much quicker than I could to somebody who's a fundamentalist Christian who looks this way and refuses to see anything. Because their belief will always get in the way.
Right.
The yogurt.
Of the yogurt, yeah.
That's why Einstein...
If you put in some Snickers
No, that's all right, go ahead.
and something that's vanilla-ish later.
Einstein also said this: the only thing that gets in the way of my learning is my education.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that gets in the way of our learning. Because what happens is, once we think we know something, now that's our belief. Now, remember in the now, here's our now moment. The Bible says, as you believe, so shall it be.
Yep, right. That's the way it is.
Well, of course, because here's how I believe right here. I put that off. What can I experience? I can't experience what you believe. I can only experience what I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Right? As you believe? No. Doesn't mean we can't change our beliefs. But until you change your belief, you can't get beyond it. Don't step on that crack.
Oh
Right.
boy, you hear people with these negative perceptions of themselves and what all terrible is going to happen to them. Why do I even try? Because it's just going to be terrible anyhow, so I won't try. And sure enough,
It's going to get...
it happens to them.
It has to.
Yeah.
The universe will always agree with you.
It's lazy.
The universe will always agree with you. Always, 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 always. The universe will always agree with you. Remember that. Very vitally important.
Just be careful how you ask, right?
Right?
Right.
The universe will always agree. Jesus was
Right.
making a point.
I can catch myself telling my wife that, don't think like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, why do you think like that? Why do you say that?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a habitual trap she falls into, but, you know, yeah. Anyhow,
Yeah, we all tend to do that once. I did it yesterday. No, maybe once. No.
yeah.
Jesus was making a point. To love those who love you is not difficult. It does not serve your highest good to limit your love in any way. And here in Matthew 10:37, here he was emphasizing this point again. He said, "He who loves father or mother more than me." Now, the me he's talking about wasn't the personality Jesus walking around. He was talking about the Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's rephrase this and say, he who loves father or mother more than the Spirit, or that perfected Spirit that is God, an expression, is not worthy of Spirit. And he who loves son or daughter more than Spirit is not worthy of Spirit.
That's a shortcoming in perception. If you're just going to like your parents or your kids and that's the end of it, that's a shortcoming in perception. You just got to.
And that then
up.
becomes the obstacle to your having a greater interaction with the
You're
world.
gonna stump over that. You're going to trip over that
Every single time.
Yeah.
And what happens is we're living in a society that reinforces that kind of thinking. Go down the street. My son is an honor student at such and such.
Oh yeah.
Mine is this. And then we go to the award ceremony. And da-da-da-da. And, you know, and everything's about competition and about me and mine.
I got an awesome little magnet on my refrigerator. My son, it's a camel and a woman on it. My son is in medical school, and another camel with a man on it. My son's a doctor. And then it says, "Oh, if it isn't Mary and Joseph." And on the back of their camel it says, "My son is God." I love that.
To love God means to see everyone through God's eyes. That would be the only way that you can truly love God.
Yeah. That's
No one is more or less than the other. When you love your father and mother, son, daughter, more than you love any other person, you are choosing conditional love. Do you love a cell in your foot more than the cell in your leg? Oh, I like this one over here. Until you can see the whole, you will be limiting your capacity for love. Simple stuff. Ego-based love is easy to recognize. Bring someone or something into your consciousness. Now ask yourself, is the love that you are expressing serving self or serving God? Think of somebody.
That's young people romanticism.
Yeah, well, think of it. We do this with our children also.
Right.
Whether it's young people or our children or our parents or somebody, think of someone that you love. Put somebody in your mind. Now, look at that relationship. Once you do that, is it serving self or serving God? Most of the time, our relationships are self-serving. They're ego-based. You know, even when we think we're loving our children, I hate to have to give you another spanking, and this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. But but you know, we have been conditioned to respond to our children from a human perspective, not from a spiritual one. We all think we know right and wrong, and we're trying to teach them right and wrong, and this is our way of loving. I hit my child, yeah, but they needed it. They needed it bad. They were not listening. You know, how are they going to learn? I got to teach them. You know? Yeah, granted, I had to beat them a few times, but they got it in the end. Look at how good they are. Oh, they're a doctor today. Oh, they wouldn't have been had I not beaten them so much.
I used to tell my
Yeah,
son,
great.
in church, when everybody stands, you stand. When everybody sits, you sit.
Or else.
If you don't do it, 45 minutes at home, well, for church masses an hour, you'll get a spanking and you'll sit on your stool. And I did. I don't know.
So then the question is, have you placed any conditions on this love? You just answered it.
Evidently.
Yeah.
But you know what? You have, in this society, you have to conform to a certain amount of rules.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I mean,
here's the
I don't
here's the
want my
deal.
son
You
to-
have to make a decision. We all have to do this. You're going to be in the world and not of the world, or in the world and of the world. If I'm going to be in the world and of the world, I got to listen to everything they tell me. I got to follow those rules. No different than, yes, there's a consequence. If I refused to pick up that gun and go in the military back then, I would have gone to jail. Now, somebody says, well, your society says you got to serve. Well, no, I don't have to. There's a price to pay for everything that you don't conform to.
There's been studies though that show
Oh, yeah,
children,
study. Of course they got studies.
children that
Yeah, they got studies for
have-
everything. And this world's going to create all kinds of stuff to substantiate its erroneous belief system.
Delusions?
The delusions, to believe their own lies. And there's no question that, yes, you know, we could all sit here and we could agree on right and wrong. I know we could. Is it right for someone to go across the street and rob that place? Oh, no, of course not. That's not right. Is it right for someone to walk out there and slap that person in the face? No, that's not right. I mean, we can all come up with right and wrongs. Now, what I'm saying is, from a human perspective, we probably would be right with our rights. Yes, and we probably would be wrong if we look from the spiritual level and I say we know nothing about what this moment really is representing. Should someone get killed when they walk across that street? My ego says, of course not. That would be stupid. That shouldn't happen. Yet it happens. Why? Was there a mistake? Or was it orchestrated for a reason? Every single moment of every single day or any time within creation is orchestrated with a perfection.
I agree with that.
Okay.
But I still think that to raise a child, and you've got a 3-year-old, and that 3-year-old steals from Toys R Us while you have them in Toys R Us, and you sit there and say, you shouldn't have done that, someday there'll be consequences, and you don't take action to give that child a consequence, because now you're judging that child. When that child is 13, you didn't do that child any favors in this dimension as they're stealing and get caught by the police.
Now, what I'm saying is this. I'm not saying that if I caught my 3-year-old stealing something, that I may take that something back with my 3-year-old and bring it back to Toys R Us and then explain to my child, is this world, you shouldn't do things like that, and this is the situation. What I'm saying is, I don't know in this moment what my reaction would be and the details of how I would handle it. The moment I think I know how I'm going to handle that next moment, I'm not coming from interacting, but I'm coming from my ego-based mind. And I'm saying this, my ego-based mind is very, very limited. I wish I had one that was omniscient, such as some people think they have, where they know the details and they know exactly the right thing to do in every given moment. I don't. I know God would give me the exact way to handle each moment if I turn it over. And ultimately, this is what we're faced with. Knowing or listening.
Okay, if you were in that state where you were one-on-one with God, that kind of thing, and your 3-year-old did something, like took a toy that didn't belong to the 3-year-old, you would approach that correctiveness totally different from what you would without it.
Good point. Good point.
You wouldn't get, your reaction to the little one would not be pejorative in any sense. You would probably walk over to the kid and explain to him, that, you know, is that your toy? No, is it? No. Well, whose is it? It belongs right there, doesn't it? And the kid then finds out that, well, yeah, put it back. It's not mine anyhow. I got some of those home. Whatever, but I think and that's a probably way simpler response to something like that a 3-year-old did. The way I'm explaining it, that if you were really in that, from that point of view of, from the point of view of God, would be totally different.
Where Doug started before, remember? Stay in that meditative state. If you're in that meditative state,
You can carry some of that energy with you throughout the day, see?
wait a minute, don't carry some of it.
Huh?
Don't carry some of it. Just stay with it. Don't ever leave it. Don't ever leave that meditative state.
Okay.
Don't take some of it and stay in it. You know, we do this. We quiet our minds. We go into a meditative state. Oh, we connect with God. We connect with our spirit. We see the truth in the moment. Then what happens? We open our eyes. Oh, now I got to go back into the world. Oh, if I could have only stayed where I was.
Well.
But take it
yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Take it with. Don't take parts of it. Take it with. Don't open the eyes and feel like there's a shift that has to take place. Don't go back.
No.
Just take it with you. Carry that meditative state on your day to day. Why would you go and separate yourself again when you did all that work to connect?
Yeah.
You're one with God. Who's not one with God? Anybody?
See,
So why put into your mind that you have to go back into a world where you're not one with God?
Exactly, and that's right. And if you became there, say through your meditation, nobody would have to explain it to you, because you'd already know it.
You'd already.
You mean in that couldn't explain it to somebody else because it's not a rational process you just had, and it won't make sense to somebody else. But to you, it does. That's it.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah, you did it, and yeah.
You and you alone.
Yeah,
That's all that matters.
it's fun to watch humanity. I think we're watching a big, huge shift.
Yeah.
Oh, stop. Yeah.
There are numerous parables in the Bible about love, and they all give the same message. All it takes to see the truth is your willingness to try. Jesus' message was an opportunity for souls to see that they are already free. That's what we're kind of trying to talk about
Yeah,
here.
right.
His example paved the way for souls to see past the illusions that they were creating in this world. By his teaching, there is no question that soul is to choose the love of God over the love of self. This is what all this is leading to. It's about living in the world through loving eyes rather than through judgmental eyes. A or B. It's always A or B. That's why the name of the book was going to be The Ultimate Choice. This is a choice. We always have choice. That's what free will, the foundation of